I believe that our consciousness is creating our reality. So your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions are creating your entire reality. This is how desperate I was to heal that I was like, I'll try anything. Because your body doesn't know the difference between the real and the imagined. Nothing was working because everything I was doing was to make my pain go away. It was never to give myself compassion, to welcome what I was feeling, to ask my body. It was the moment that I gave up on healing. I stopped trying so hard to heal. So I wasn't going to hypnosis and acupuncture and EFT every week, the ABC tool. So awareness, breath, conscious choice. The first step is awareness. Like that's the most important part is I have to actually notice where do I feel it in my body? Because if you're truly being triggered, you're gonna feel it somewhere in the body. Sometimes I'll hear someone speak and they'll just have this knowing like, okay, that's the reason why you're not healing or that's the reason why you're stuck. And it creates so much heaviness. And so I notice when I give myself freedom, like if you don't want to do this today, if you don't want to do this ever, I love you anyways. And then I end up having the energy to do it always.
Welcome, dear listeners of the Oliver Schirach Show, where I go out and find people around the world and talk about the supernatural, spiritual, esoterical, mystical, and all kind of juicy topics from depression to expression, the hero's journey, and so on. And today I have Alisha Kapani, which I found on Instagram for some reason, but that's how the universe is bringing people to me, to my attention. And she was so nice to say yes to an interview. We have 1 hour, which is kind of the short side of my interviews. And after diving a bit into your world, I know I could easily have 2-3 hours talk with you easily. So let's see how far we get here, or if you have to book another few sessions. So welcome, Alisha.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm excited to go deep into your world. I have a little bit of an idea who you are, but for my listeners, which say, okay, who's that beautiful woman on the other side of the discussion? How would you describe yourself with 3 words, and why would you choose those
3 words? Empathic, calming, and intuitive. And I guess the reason everyone says they feel calm around me. Kind of weird. I don't know why, but everyone says that. As soon as you're around me, I feel calm. And empathic, I'm like, I can feel someone's true intentions, why they're saying what they're saying, why they're doing what they're doing. I can feel it in my own body. So I'm really understanding. And intuitive, like I just have this like knowing, this feeling. I don't know how I know things, but it saves me a lot of time, energy, and money. And like I can know why people are sick, why they're not healing. I just know things and I don't know how I know things. So that's why I'd pick those 3.
That fits to what I heard so far when I listened to you. And this inner knowing, how does that present in your life? Because I know when I talk to people privately or on the podcast, we have different ways of having intuition. So how is that for you?
Yeah, for me, I'm like claircognizant, clairsentient. So I get a knowing and a feeling, and the feeling's in my stomach. So it's like a heavy light. So if something feels heavy, like constricted, like efforting, like pushing a boulder up a hill, like not fluid at all, that's like my body's way of saying, don't go in this direction. This is not going to create anything. And then if something feels really light, it's like my body saying, go in this direction. This is going to create what you're really wanting. It's going to make a massive impact. So that's how I get it. I feel it in my stomach. Sometimes I get this like tight knot sinking feeling in my stomach when my body is like, don't do that. Or if I ever even think about abandoning myself, going against my wisdom, I feel it in my stomach. It's really painful. But because it's so painful, I listen and it protects me and I'm able to like save myself so much time, energy, and money. Whereas other people need to like try things first, to like put a little bit of time into it and then realize that this is heavy and like this is not what they really want. And I can avoid that. So I'm glad that I'm sensitive.
Okay, so it's more the sensing that helps you with the intuition and the knowing.
Yeah.
And then, so now you said the sensing, you feel like this heaviness or the lightness. the flow or the resistance. And when is the cognizance coming? Is that when you're one-on-one with people?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll just hear someone speak and then they'll say something and then I'll just have this knowing like, okay, that's the reason why you're not healing, or that's the reason why you're stuck. Or like in my personal life, I'll just get a knowing like, this is not how I meet my person, or this is not my person, or this is not going to help me grow my business or whatever. Like I just get like a knowing and I follow it.
Yeah, I just already go deep here. I have some other questions as well. But for me, it's like I had some interviews with human design. I wanted to interview Root, what's his name? Root again from Gene Keys, about all the things he does. And I know I'm a projector. So I have exactly that.
Yeah.
I just know. It's just like when I'm around people, I just somehow know. And I kind of, sometimes I'm like, why did I ask this question? This doesn't really make a sense. Someone in a shop, I talk about weird spiritual stuff just to a stranger, and they look at me like, yeah, I just had some experience. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how do I come to ask these things? So it's kind of like it's a little bit of a projector kind of thing when you're with people, to absorb their vibration or their thoughts or energy or something.
I'm a manifesting generator, but something very similar happens to me. I say things and then later they're like, oh my God, that is so synchronistic because that's been showing up in my life a lot lately. Or like, it's just further reminder that when I feel called to say something or ask something, it's for a reason, and just say it and ask it, right? Because I'm getting so much confirmation back that like I was meant to say that. So just trust my knowing more. If I feel called to say something or ask something, then do it.
Generating manifestor, that's the next question is going to be about what color you would be. And I see red and then generating manifestor. I'm like, okay, like so the Pitta, it's like a Pitta person.
Oh, and Ayurvedic.
The fire.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in terms of Ayurvedic, that's, I mean, it's been a really long time since I did anything with that, but that is resonating. I do remember them saying that.
That you're a Pitta, like primary Pitta, and then, okay, let me look, probably Kappa. I have the feeling when I look at the hair, how it's falling, the lips, the eyes, the feeling there's like a lot of Kappa there as well. The patience, but the drive to do things, I could imagine. I don't know. I'm not a guru, so I'm just dabbling in it. I'm tridoshic, out of balance, too much air, meaning that gives ADHD, right? Because you have too much air with the fire is burning high. So you want to do a lot of things. But what happens with the Kappa, with the patient trees, like the earthy element, with the wind, the earthy element is rooting even more. So you have on one side the gas and the other side the brake. When you're out of balance as a tridoshic with too much air, you burn and you stop in the same time. So like anxiety and depression, that was kind of like my path for the last 10 years. God or the universe or my higher self has chosen for me to go. But let's see if we can get there, because I have so many points and we have only 1 hour. Okay. So let's go to the question with the color. If you would be this new fancy color in a coloring box, what color would you be and why would you be that color? You can be red, green, yellow, or you could be transparent or banana. I have no idea.
I would say turquoise, I think. Like blue is my favorite color, but I like what it almost looks kind of like an ocean. And I have heard that that's my aura color too, and that is also a color that I love.
Because it looks like an ocean and because it's your aura color.
Yes.
Anything else you feel when you think of the ocean? What does that make with you?
I have this thing where I really like to be around water, even though I can't swim. I'm obsessed with hot tubs. I want everything to be waterfront. If I'm at a restaurant, I need to be like, can I sit by the window? Can I have a view of the water? Maybe it has to do with like the calming presence within me. And I also love water signs. Like I just love people that actually like express their emotions, feel their emotions, and are really sensitive. I'm drawn to those kind of people because I'm also one of those kind of people. I do have water in my chart. It's my moon sign. So it's like how I express emotions.
Oh, but you're not Cancer
I'm Cancer
moon.
moon, yes. Oh,
like my
nice.
daughter. Yeah, it's I have Gemini in the moon, so that means I talk a lot. It's one of my paths. Is like the communication. Talking is one of my birthrights, even though throughout my life I've been told to stop talking. But why do I continue with the podcast? I said, like the last 3 years, I said now it's over. I have 5 episodes on my, on the back burner, and another 6 with this one, 7 to come by November. I'm like, that's going to be 11 by November. Why, when I want to stop, something wants to stop, but I cannot stop. It's kind of like I can simply not stop. I enjoy talking to people around the world. And so my Gemini in the second house, which is why I'm feeling unstable around wealth if I cannot create it myself. So your Cancer, as far as I remember, that means it takes some time for you to open up to people. But when you open up, you're kind of very protective.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I have a hard time expressing what I'm feeling or asking for what I want or need. I'm afraid to like feel like a burden. So it'd take me a while to feel comfortable that I could even express, because I guess I need to know I can trust you with my emotions, because I've just had so many experiences where people don't know how to handle my sensitivity, and it triggers them. And so I'm like, okay, I need to know that I can express with this person and that it's safe, or how much I can express with this person, or how I can express with this person. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay, you have a different house probably than my daughter, but I've seen it in her when she changed the school in August. Then I asked her, like, my ex-wife doesn't believe in it, and I said, okay, you're Cancer in the moon, so that means it takes a long time. So when did you have your first friend in the new school? And she said January. I'm like, okay, you started in August and it took you whatever 5 months to really open up, and now she's like the center and she's goofing around, she's being herself. I remember she's like, Dad, stop being like that. I'm like, what? That's me. Yeah, but I'm strange enough as I am, because I'm Swiss. My ex-wife is Romanian. We live in Denmark. My daughter is 14 and she's pretty massive. When you see me, she pretty much looks like me. Do you have any secret not that many people know of you? And you're able to share with the world, because that's a podcast, right? You're going to be around the world with this secret now.
A secret that not a lot of people know. Ooh. I'm trying to think. I have this thing where, like, I haven't done it in a really long time, but I would daydream about like really dark things. So like the daydreams would always be like, there's a guy I like who is watching me go through something really traumatic. So it's kind of like I have to go through something traumatic to get love and attention from the person I want. So instead of daydreaming about like positive things, I was daydreaming about bad things happening to me, but always like someone had to be there watching, So it clearly was showing me that like I really need this like validation outside of me. I crave love and attention from men. And I feel like the only way I'll really get it is if something bad is happening to me. This has not happened in a really long time, but like majority of my life, these were my daydreams.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm not daydreaming like that, but my daydreams are negative a lot as well. It's like all this, when you go down this spiritual personal improvement path, when things don't work out anymore, it's one of the first things I saw, like, visualize your future, the perfect day. I'm like, I don't know. It's like the worst day is coming up when I try to visualize, in my case. And I'm like, how can I not visualize this beautiful day? Like the house I want, at the place I want, with whatever the person I want to be, or the persons I want to be, and the activity I do, but the negative things are showing up. I don't know if that's what that is, but yeah. So you're not alone there. So I just don't like the stalker watch me doing that. So now I found you. I don't remember what was the post, but I see you work. You have an engineering background, as I have. I think electric or chemical engineering, or what was it? So I'm a mechanical engineer business. And yeah, like your fall down, your depression. So what is it you're doing now? What is it that your job or vocation or passion or purpose you do now? And then let's see, how did you, what is the way there, the
Yeah.
hero's journey? Or
Yeah. So what I do now is, I call myself a mind body mentor, which pretty much just means I help people heal the emotional root cause of their illness, because I believe that our consciousness is creating our reality. So your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions are creating your entire reality. And they also did create your illness or really any problem showing up in your life. So I help people heal the root cause by expanding their consciousness. And how I got here from engineering is because I had severe depression and suicidal thoughts for like 5 years. And I had anxiety my entire life. I had other physical illness, but it was the depression that was like really getting my attention that led me on this healing journey. And I wasn't healing, even though I was trying like everything to heal. Like you name it, I've probably tried it. And I didn't heal until I found mind body medicine. It was the only thing that resonated with me. It's the only thing that made a difference. And I healed right away when I found mind body medicine. And then because I healed so quickly using mind body medicine, my mentor had me as a guest on her podcast and was like, can you share like what was it about the way you used this to heal so other people can, learn from you? And then her community started asking to work with me, and that's how it got started. So I wasn't really planning to leave engineering to do this. It was like life was like, you're doing this, and within a week everything changed. Like within a week of leaving engineering, this all got created for me. And so that was like a really big sign
wow.
that like this was meant to be. This is like my sole purpose. And it could keep evolving, but that's at least how it looks right now.
Yeah, so I still have like one part of my podcast, from depression to expression. I haven't had an explicit episode because it's very similar, the Oliver Schirach Show, from depression to expression, because in the end it's about finding back to yourself, authenticity. So I kind of blend it. So you say you had anxiety
Mhm.
all your life. When you have an Indian name and Indian look, but I heard it just like half an hour before we had the podcast. I
Mhm.
listened to another episode, the latest one on your YouTube, and you shared you're from
Yes.
Calgary. Is that right? Or
Yes.
and you still live in Calgary? Okay, yeah. Howdy. I've been working at the Stampede, and I put up some the the fireworks. My first day in Calgary, my friend asked me like, "Hey, do you want to work?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really have much money. I'm a gymnasium student." Like, okay, let's go working at the Stampede. So I had 10-day free access to the
Nice.
Stampede, and
Yes.
put up some
Oh,
fireworks.
that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I have a long outdoor back jacket, Australian out jacket from
Nice.
Calgary still, and some cowboy hats back from there.
Love it.
So yeah, it's a long time ago. Actually, I miss it. I really enjoyed being in Calgary. It's different culture, different way of living, and for me, it was like,
Yeah,
whoa.
Stampede, fun time.
We went dancing, line dance. Not that that's my favorite, but we did. So I don't, I don't know how Calgary looks now. It was, yeah, what the heck, 20, 30,
Oh,
24 years
wow.
ago, something like that. 26. I've been also in the mountains in the Rockies, um, staying there for a weekend. The snow was falling. I was 3 times in Calgary, and yeah, and I had actually. You're the second one I know of living in Calgary on my
Oh,
podcast. Of the 120-ish interviews I have
uh-huh.
around the world, from Australia to Europe and Canada, 2 people from Calgary. He lives
You'll
north
have
of
to
Calgary,
connect me
so
with him because I want to meet other people in Calgary that are into this kind of stuff.
yeah, he actually got into that stuff by killing himself involuntarily by overdosing with all kind
Wow.
of drugs and driving his car into one of the few cement-based houses with his car, and healing himself completely from all kind of damage he caused by that
Mm-hmm.
accident. And he's a
Right.
complete different person. So let's see. Malcolm Nair. I found him from listening to near-death experiences, and
Cool.
had 3 interviews with
Wow.
him. That was like 3 years ago. I had this interview, but I still talk to him once in a while. So yeah, and that's funny, right? Like, how did I have two people from Calgary when I didn't have thousands of interviews. I had 120-ish people on my show, 150-ish interviews so far. So yeah, so you live still in Calgary, and so you had anxiety, depression. So do you know what was the anxiety, where that came from, if you had it all your life?
Yeah, like it was fear, and I had like social anxiety. So the social anxiety looked like I could only hang out with people in groups of threes. Otherwise, I felt extremely uncomfortable. Like when I'd hang out with people one-on-one, unless we were doing an activity together, I was really uncomfortable. And in groups too, like I would just get really quiet. I think it started because like I would always like have a best friend, but then the best friend would always leave. Like there was always a reason they had to leave or move away, or like there was always something distant about every close friendship I had. You know, they either lived on the other side of the city or they had to move away, or as soon as I got close with them, then something happened that like forced there to be distance. And I think I kind of internalized that like I'm doing something that's pushing people away because I was so young. I couldn't understand that no, like they just had to move away because of their parents, you know? So I started to think like I'm a burden, you know? So I was like always worried I'm going to say or do the wrong thing. And so would get really anxious around people. And then it was like harder and harder for me to make close connections. Like when I was younger, it was super easy, but then it just got harder and harder the more friends that I lost, if that makes sense.
So of course, with a Cancer in your moon, you want that safety. So, but you have control over that anxiety now.
Yeah. I don't like saying the word control because it's completely gone. Like, I don't believe in controlling or managing your illness. Again, I'm about get to the root cause so it's not there anymore. So, yeah, so that I have done. So I don't have social anxiety at all anymore. I love hanging out with people one-on-one. It's like my preference now. I love having just deep conversations when we're doing absolutely no activity and we're just talking. Yeah, so it's like night and day different now.
Wow. And that happened I mean, what? Okay. And then the depression part. So let's build up the dark side, and then let's see how you went through that and got to the light side. So when did you then get depressed?
Yeah, it was 22. So I was in my last semester of engineering. And so I was like first really unaware on why it started at that point. I thought it was because I was graduating. And so I thought, oh, I don't have purpose in my life anymore because I had already had a job lined up. So I thought maybe that was it. And then I had started taking birth control around that time. So I thought that was it. So I had no idea at first what was happening to me. Now looking back, I know it was the relationship that I was in was the trigger because he had extreme anxiety. And so I was suppressing everything I was feeling and thinking because I was afraid to make him anxious because then he would leave me. So that's what led to the depression because I was a really sensitive person that was suppressing myself my whole life, but now I was doing it to a whole other level. Like I'm actually really upset and acting like I'm happy, you know, just so that he doesn't leave me. And that led to severe depression.
So you were anxious already, and then had a boyfriend which was even more anxious.
Yes.
And you played happiness, and everything is fine on the surface. Wow. Okay, so how long could you handle that? And when did you start looking into yourself and find help? And how did you start looking for help? Like what were you looking for? Antidepressants, acupuncture, talk therapy? What did you do?
So for the first year, I did nothing because I thought it would just go away. And then also because I had him, so he was bringing me this like temporary joy. So I didn't have any interest in healing from depression because I was like, oh, as long as I'm with him, as long as things are good with us, I'm happy. And it was when things were bad with us that I really felt the pain, you know what I mean? So I just didn't have an interest in healing it as long as I had temporary joy. So it wasn't until we broke up that I was like, okay, I don't even have temporary joy now. I have no joy. So then I went to my doctor because I didn't know what else to do. And then obviously they put me on antidepressants because that's their model. And I was lucky enough that when I took the antidepressants, it was like I was taking a sugar pill. Like it had no positive effects or negative side effects, no matter how much they increased the dosage, tried different ones, put me on multiple at once. Like I had so many bottles of like this medication that like did absolutely nothing for me. But I'm really grateful that it did nothing for me because I think if I had felt even a little bit of relief, I would have continued to take the medication because I still had no interest in true healing. It was just make the pain go away. So yeah, I tried that and then it wasn't working. So then I was like desperate to heal. So I was trying unconventional things now. Obviously, I tried talk therapy and CBT therapy and all the things that they tell you to do, which didn't help me. And so then I tried acupuncture, I tried hypnosis, I tried EMDR, I tried EFT. I was trying everything. I was Googling how to heal from depression, going to the second and third pages, going to every single link. And like I said, still nothing was working because everything I was doing was to make my pain go away. It was never to give myself compassion, to welcome what I was feeling, to ask my body, like, what are you trying to tell me? What do you need from me? Like, I wasn't doing any of that. It was just make my pain go away, make my pain go away. So desperate, trying anything. So I was just in so much resistance that like it was impossible for me to heal, even if I was doing things that, you know, are really powerful, really helpful. Like I still use EFT to this day. And, you know, I still think acupuncture has a lot of, you know, value, and hypnosis, I could see how it could be really helpful, but I was really frustrated with hypnosis because I couldn't hold a theta brainwave state, number one. And then they would also be asking me, oh, where did this start? And I was like, I don't remember. But now I actually use theta healing, which is like so similar to hypnosis, but you're connecting with creator consciousness. So you ask the creator, where did this start? So you don't have to remember. And the client doesn't have to do anything. The practitioner is the one asking the creator. So I think it's so powerful. It's like one of the fastest forms of healing. I use it all the time now. So I could see why someone would think hypnosis is helpful, but for me back then, it wasn't helpful because I had so much resistance. Like I didn't really want to heal. I didn't really want to know what my body was trying to tell me. I just wanted pain to go away.
You didn't want to understand. And how long was that? Like, was that another 1-2 years or?
It was a year of first distracting, and then it was a year of trying like the medication and the CBT therapy and what they tell you to do. And then it was a year of trying unconventional things. And then it was a year of contemplating suicide, but realizing I didn't want to do that. So then going back to distracting, because I was like, at this point, I think I've tried everything and I know I'm not going to take my life. So now I think I just need to distract. So then I did that for a year. I took a job in the field where you work like 12 to 16-hour days working in a camp, so that I was busy all the time. So then I did a year of distracting and then I healed after that. So it took 5 years. Pretty much.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, the first was boyfriend, temporary joy, and then the the cognitive therapy. I think, right?
And
it's change the negative thoughts. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of change the negative thoughts into positive thoughts. I've been there. And it's that's also kind of like my path. And then like, yeah, thinking of, you know, it's winter ice, thinking of your wife is going on the motorway. It's icy on the street. She can barely go down the street. And like, shit, she's on the motorway. She's surely going to have an accident. Surely someone is going to call me that she's dead, right? This is kind of like the daily thoughts I had and other things. Like, I don't know if it was similar for you. And then like, just change these thoughts, change the thought about your parents, change the thought about your work, about your wife, about whatever.
I found it so frustrating that you were like nuts, because I'm like, I'm bypassing. I'm not welcoming my emotions. And we need to permanently change the thought. Otherwise, this is just managing. If every time I'm upset, I have to try to think about it differently, that's going to take effort for the rest of my life, right? We need to like actually replace that belief with a new one. I need new programming, right? I need an operating system. So that's what that was missing for me.
Yeah, I had the same therapist from the city hall. Half a year later, she gave me metacognitive, I think. And they found out it's not the negative thoughts which make you depressed or anxious. It's the overthinking. It's basically over using the brain, always trying to solve the problem. And eventually it gets negative. Basically, those are the scientists and the artists which get crazy, right? It's like the crazy artist, the crazy scientist, because they learn to solve the problem. So now they have a problem, they start to think like the 5 whys and all these kind of typical engineering problem solving tasks, and eventually you just start to overdo it, and then you do it all day, and that's when you get into burnout, anxiety, depression. That was the second step. For me, like my therapist also said she sees in me a lot of protection layers, one layer after the other. Through all my life, I was having kind of defending myself from being myself towards others. That's kind of like my pattern. I don't know what it is for you. And I'm still there, right? I'm still building down. So that's why it takes so long. But I'm sure there's faster ways. So you say conventional. So that's like the antidepressants, that's the talk therapy. Unconventional was that the acupuncture, hypnosis. What else did you try? Like going to shamans and healers, ayahuasca, psilocybin. What crazy things
I've
did you
never
try?
tried plant medicine. Plant medicine has never resonated with me. But I tried I would listen to like a lot of summits, like wellness summits. And like there was always different practitioners and they always had different meditations and affirmations. And like everyone has like their own different type of modality. You know what I mean? So like maybe there's no word for it, but like, working with pendulums even, or like, I even like wanted to do cryotherapy, where you're in a liquid nitrogen tank. Cause I was like, oh, that boosts your mood, boosts your energy. I didn't end up doing it because I hate the cold, but like, this is how desperate I was to heal that I was like, I'll try anything.
So no plant medicine, because so many people talk about different plant medicines, right? From ayahuasca to psilocybin to, I don't know, frog and to cacti and I don't know what else.
I was going to say that plant medicine doesn't resonate with me because your body will only bring up what you're ready for without overwhelming your nervous system. And so I find that sometimes when you kind of jump into a higher consciousness, or at least that's what you think you're doing, it can be overwhelming to the nervous system. And I've actually seen it so many times. This happened to my mentor, actually, where when she was 16, she had done some sort of plant medicine. And then all of her intuitive abilities came to her at once. So now she could hear people's thoughts and all this kind of stuff. And this was many years ago. This was like 45 years ago, back when like being intuitive was not like a normal thing.
Wow.
So her parents put her in a psych hospital because they're like, you're crazy. And I've seen stuff like this multiple times when you try to like, you're trying to like speed things up, but in a way you're trying to bypass feeling your pain. Because I have had all the same experiences when I talk to people who have done these things. I've had the same experience, but just by like connecting with who I really am and essentially just dissolving the emotions that are not aligned with me. And then I have the same insights as you and the same awareness as you, and I didn't have to rely on a substance to get there. So, and also I feel like if you're doing it recreationally, you're not doing it for true healing. So it's the same as me having alcohol. If I'm going to do it at a club and you're also going to do this at a club, I don't think your true intention is you're doing this to heal, unless you're like, I'm setting the intention. This is just for healing. I had got my journal ready after to write my insights, and you don't do it recreationally. But still, it's just never resonated with me.
Yeah, that's very interesting what you say. I mean, my path also was in 2019. I went for an ayahuasca trip. I heard about it in 2014, 15, and somehow it was like, there, do it. But for me, it's like, I I didn't see, I didn't hear, I didn't feel. My body was just working, right? I had no control over my body, which was funny. And my mouth was just speaking, and I was just listening to myself talking. That was also kind of interesting. But I didn't like. Then you lay there, and then the other people like, oh, I was in this universe. I was in my childhood. I was seeing the table full of whatever. I'm like, what the heck are you guys doing? For me, reality dissolved on one point into this pixel art from like what was it, Warhol kind of style. I was like, that's cool. Like, everything was like just like big pixels. I still saw the things. I still was at the place, but it was kind of pixels. And I had no control over the body. So I got naked eventually. I had like 3 rebirths with one of the shamans there. And I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't handle it. Right? My body was just working. I just let it be. And when the whole thing was over, we were sharing our experience. And I just had like 3 insights: connect my daughter with nature, heal my son from my male ancestry, from the trauma, like the male. So my father's father's father, kind of, and me. Yeah, obviously me as well. And create a safe home for my wife back then. I've never been able to create a safe home. It was kind of like this pressure. I tried to do it and I didn't know what to do, right? It's kind of like somehow resistance, like really wanting to do it. And somehow I created a resistance by that. My daughter is in the scouts, so she kind of is connected with nature. On my son's trauma thing, I work because I work on myself, right? So it's kind of like, it's kind of that path. And I kind of felt like do it again, but not really. And before I went to ayahuasca, I took psilocybin just to learn to let go of my ego, which was very colorful experience. I'm going to an Indian Ayurvedic teacher from Kerala, from South, from the Tamil place. And he had some really mystical experiences and really deep experiences. And what you say about the plant medicine is what he said. And when I told him I did it, he was like, what the fuck did you do? No, you shouldn't do it. You were putting yourself at risk. And I didn't understand what he meant because you hear all these other people. But what you say, I've also had another podcast 1.5 years ago. He's a good friend of mine. And he did what you did, like meditation, and got out of the body, saw stuff. And he's like, the plant medicine only allows you to see as much as your consciousness as you have worked on yourself. It kind of puts a cap there. You cannot go further. You cannot realize yourself further than what they allow you. And as you say, if you do it recreational and you just do it for fun, you don't really have the intention, you just go so far. And I know people that did 30, 40, 50 ayahuascas and stuff like that, and they don't really change. And exactly, right? And my yoga teacher said, what your teacher had, you risk yourself in pushing the skills or the gifts that come faster and you're not ready. So if your heart is not at the right place and you get those gifts, claircognizance, voyance, all these things, you might misuse them for ego purpose instead of the heart and the higher good. So that was my long talk about that. I hope it gives you some kind of insights. And also the listeners. So you have to do the work. And that's also what people say. Real shamans say, now, ayahuasca was the fun part. Do the work. Take the insights. Work on yourself. So how did you work on yourself? What was it that you opened up your gifts, that you released the anxiety, released the depression, embraced it? And
to keep it really simple, it was welcoming my emotions instead of resisting them. So bringing more awareness to what I was feeling and experiencing. And the reason this was so powerful, it seemed so simple, but the reason it's so powerful is because your body is an energy transmuter. It already knows how to dissolve energy, which is just emotions. And so when you're getting out of resistance, your body can work as it's designed. So the second that I was even in like 2% less resistance and I was more willing to actually feel the pain with compassion, like it wasn't like wallowing, it was like noticing it with compassion and not trying to change it, fix it, make it wrong. I would call that pure awareness. So when I started doing that, I noticed that immediately I would feel relief. Like, cause I could feel, it's like the density is not in my body anymore. It like moved up out of my body. So I just kept doing that. And so I was dissolving different emotions. I didn't know what I was dissolving because I didn't have to name them, but I was dissolving shame, guilt, fear, hopelessness, despair. And just like the more I kept dissolving, the more I felt peace and joy and love. And so I just started to realize like those are your natural state. Like I naturally feel peace when I'm less scared. I don't have to force myself to feel less scared and talk myself out of it and be like, there's no real threat. I just felt peace and I just wasn't scared. And when I dissolved shame, I naturally felt more love for myself and other people. And then I also just started to get awareness. Like, for example, when I dissolved a lot of fear, I started to get awareness that like abundance is my birthright, and how I realized that was just like, okay, when I'm no longer scared about how I'm going to receive money, there's just this trust that I'm going to receive money. So there's this part of me that just knows I'm going to be taken care of. So maybe people will use different words. Like maybe they don't know abundance is their birthright. But when you start to dissolve these other emotions that aren't serving you, you just start to know truth and you start to feel truth. You start to live in your natural state. So you've probably seen the human scale of consciousness, I'm assuming. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on. I always have the feeling I'm in the red zone, all the way on the bottom below the
Uh-huh.
average, because I have so much shame and hate. But I don't know. I probably have slowly worked on things because I'm not getting triggered about Donald Trump. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not getting triggered by these things anymore. Don't get triggered by my ex-wife saying things, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. You're in another place. So I must have leveled up on the scale, and I think love is at 500, and like
Yes.
Jesus, etc., and Buddha, they're like at 1,000 or something like that. Is that kind of like?
Yeah. So if you read Power versus Force, it says it actually like calibrates every religion back when they were first like formed and then also where they're at now. And so almost all the religions started at 1,000, which was like the highest like enlightenment. And then over the years, because of misinterpretation and things like that, they've all dropped. Except for Islam. Islam was never at 1,000, which means there was always something about it that wasn't like 100% truth and enlightening. And then the one that's dropped the least over the years is Buddhism, apparently, which is actually not that shocking because every time I tell people about the way I see life, they're like, oh, that's so Buddhist. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I'm not actually religious. Um, but anyways, what I was trying to say is like, so that's an exponential so it's a logarithmic scale. So as you move up on the scale, it's exponential. So it's not like, okay, I dissolve a little bit of fear, I feel a little bit better. No, you just dissolved like a ton of dense energy and came into a much higher consciousness. So I see it all the time where people heal even when they just dissolve like 2% of that energy or state of consciousness that they're in, because they just need to get into a consciousness higher than where the problem was created. So as long as you're in a slightly higher consciousness than where the problem got created, the problem either goes away or the solution comes in. And so that's how I go about solving every problem in my life now. And I know that this is the case because I've seen people heal illness. Like, for example, I know someone who had Lyme disease, and the root cause of Lyme disease is like victim consciousness mixed with needing to like push really hard and like overcome. Like, I'm not a victim. I'm going to like prove I'm not a victim kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's the energy of victim consciousness. And so I knew someone who was in that state. And so she was like bedbound for years. Doctors said the most we can do is get you 80% better, all this kind of stuff. And then she healed using mind body medicine. She completely healed it, not bedbound. It's never come back. That was almost 10 years ago and it's never come back. And I know for a fact she's still carrying victim consciousness because of something that she did. Like she sued someone because she felt like a victim. So what that showed me is she didn't have to heal all of the victim consciousness to heal her illness. She just had to heal it enough that now her body has got the message that you're listening. You're going to give me what I need. You're tuning in. So now I don't have to make it this big, loud thing to get your attention because you've already proven to me you are going to give me loving presence, attention, awareness, and give me what I need when I make it clear and I ask for it. So Yeah, hope that answers your question on how I healed.
Yeah, well, so it means like you were 5 years in this consciousness, and in your intro, I don't know, I think it's an intro video on your channel, and in the interview I heard, you shared like how you actually didn't share how you got into this mind body healing modality, but you said when you gave up, you didn't give up in life, but you kind of gave up in searching for a solution. You said, okay, this is the state, this is where I am.
Yeah.
So it's not like a
Yeah.
victimhood that I'm powerless, but like, okay, I accept how it is. And then things happen, and coincidences, synchronicities brought you to this modality, to this healing modality, which is for you the best way. It doesn't mean it's for everyone, I'm sure, because others profit from hypnosis or something else. But so how did
Mhm.
that come into your life? I mean, I've never heard the story. Just know it's synchronistically coming.
Yes. Yeah. That's a really great point. Yeah. So it was the moment that I gave up on healing. So essentially I stopped trying so hard to heal. So I wasn't going to hypnosis and acupuncture and EFT every week, like I stopped everything. No, not working with any practitioners, not trying to heal at all. And when I did that, there was a softening. I had released this resistance because when I was trying desperately so hard to heal, I was just creating resistance. I was just telling my body something's wrong with you. I don't want to feel this pain. That's what I was really doing. So maybe it looked like I was healing because I'm trying something to heal, but I was doing the opposite because I was doing it from a state of make my pain go away, resistance. So that was never going to work. So the second I stopped doing that, there was this opening. It was like a 2% opening, right? Because I was still distracting from my pain, right? Because now I'm working that job in the field, right? So I'm distracting from my pain. So I was still doing the distracting thing, but there was this 2% little opening because I had released the desperation to heal. That somehow that opening brought me my mentor. I like somehow signed up for this online summit, which is kind of crazy because I wasn't into that kind of stuff back then. So I don't know how I signed up for the summit. Like I don't even remember, but signed up for the summit. And when I heard her speak, it was like every cell in my body lit up and was like, you're working with her. And that was a really big deal because at that point, like I said, I had given up. I had swore to myself, I'm not spending another penny on any healing modality because I had spent so much money that I was like, not anymore. I'm done. And the fact that I didn't even have to think about it. And I was like, I signed up for her course. I didn't even work with her privately yet. I just did her online DIY course. And then I healed from depression just by doing her DIY course. And it was because that felt light to me. Like that was my body saying, do this, and that I didn't even have to think. I didn't have to question. It was so clear. But the reason it showed up in my reality was because I had that softening and that opening and I released the desperation to heal. And so I guess that's what told my body, like, you're ready for this. Because before that, I wasn't really ready to welcome my pain. I was only willing to try things that didn't really have me need to go into the pain, right? So I think the second I like had that softening and that opening, my body knew, okay, she's ready to actually welcome me and like welcome what I'm feeling because she's maxed out on everything else and realized that didn't work and has kind of given up on that. So then it came into my
Wow. Yes, it's letting go of that push to heal. One question I had whenever I listened to your story was, did you work during that time? Because you used a lot of money, you say. So you were finished with university and you're just after university starting working as an engineer or
Yeah, I was working as an engineer the entire time. So luckily money wasn't an issue. So I was able to try all of these things. Yeah, so luckily I wasn't stressed about money on top of the fact that I was spending a ton of money on this stuff. So, but either way, I didn't need the money though. Like that's what I always tell people is like the resource that you need, you have everything you need. You know what I mean? So like you'll have the money for that if you need that, or you'll heal from a free resource or like a really, like people would heal just by reading a book, or people sometimes would heal just by watching my video. they would say, I watched your video. And before that, I was in a wheelchair and now I could walk around the block. So like you can heal without having to spend a ton of money. So I just want people to know that like you're fully resourced and will have what you need. And you're not going to miss out on what you need because you don't have the resources. Like maybe they'll just come in. Like I've seen that a lot too, where people will like give you the money, the exact amount of money you need, or it'll come from some random way that you weren't expecting. And then you'll have the exact money that you need for this resource. So yeah, I just want to point that out.
I've heard that many times. Exactly, the money comes. For me, it feels like the money just leaves me all the time. So it's always around this time of year where the money is gone. And then December does. So yeah, before you have to leave, you said in an hour. So let's see. I have so many open threads here. But if we have like a call to action or a tip, I just hear a lot of times the thing that comes in my mind is resistance. Where's this resistance coming from? How can we feel that we have resistance, and how can we let go of that resistance to heal in one way or the other?
Yeah. So life and your body will trigger you, right? So either you're going to get some sort of illness or something, or somebody will say something that triggers you, or like fear about money, or like, something will come up and something will trigger you.
What's triggering? What's trigger? When someone says, what the fuck do you mean with triggering?
Trigger means like you feel upset about it. Like there's an emotion you feel about it, so you're feeling fear because you have less money. You feel shame because someone made you feel like you did something wrong. You feel hopelessness if you have depression. If you have anxiety, that's fear. You're feeling like apathy. You're feeling guilt. Someone might make you feel guilty about something, right? So something's going to happen to make you feel an emotion. So you need to welcome the emotion. And the way you can do that without resisting it, so I have like a 3-step thing that I do. It's the ABC tool. So awareness, breath, conscious choice. So the first step is awareness. Like that's the most important part, is I have to actually notice, where do I feel it in my body? Because if you're truly being triggered, you're going to feel it somewhere in the body. Otherwise, you're not triggered. You're not upset. Like you're going to feel it somewhere. So where do you feel it in your body? Immediately bring awareness to where. I normally feel it in my stomach, but depending on the emotion, you might feel it somewhere else. Like if you've lost someone you love, you might feel it in your heart, or if you're really not expressing yourself because you're scared, you might feel it in your throat. I feel almost everything in my stomach, but just notice where you feel it. And if you don't know where you feel it, at least try to bring more awareness inside the body. Like not in the mind, trying to analyze it, in the body. And then there's lots of questions you can ask to bring more awareness to what you're feeling. I don't need to do this anymore because, again, I'm really sensitive and have been doing it forever. But if you're new, you can ask yourself questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is this? And the reason that this matters is because when you're tuning in and you're like, okay, it's kind of like a 7 out of 10, like it's pretty intense. That was just 10 seconds right there that you weren't resisting it and you weren't trying to make it go away. So now you got out of resistance. So now your body can just move the energy. So then you can just keep asking yourself questions like that will get you out of resistance. Like, okay, like what size is it? If I'm feeling something in my stomach, is it like this big rock in my stomach? Or is this tiny little pebble in my stomach? Does it have like a texture? Does it feel more like butterfly feelings in my stomach? So people who get anxious and nervous, they kind of feel it like butterflies in their stomach. You know what I mean? Versus like a dense rock that someone might feel if they're feeling depression, or fear or something. So anyways, just ask questions like, does it have a texture? Does it have a size? Does it have a color? Does it feel warm? Does it feel cold? And honestly, the answer to the question means nothing. It's just that while you're asking the questions, you're getting out of resistance. Like I said, you're not trying to make it go away or change it when you're tuning in and getting curious. So that's the most important step. For me, now I'm so sensitive, I just bring awareness to where I feel it in my body. And then that's enough for me. So that's the first step, is awareness. Second step is breath. So you need to be breathing into your belly instead of your chest to activate your parasympathetic nervous system response, obviously, because if you're in fight or flight, you're not in the state where your body knows how to heal itself. You need to be in rest and digest state. So the breath has to be coming all the way down to your belly. If you soften your shoulders, that will happen more naturally. If you imagine there's like a red balloon in your stomach, inflating with the inhale, deflating with the exhale. That's what I did at the very beginning when I was like not familiar with breath work, just because your body doesn't know the difference between the real and the imagined. So eventually, if you keep kind of imagining your belly inflating and deflating, the breath will eventually match and start to come down to your belly. And then part C is conscious choice. So conscious choice means like bigger picture awareness, like what's really happening here. It's kind of more the masculine energy, like, oh, there's no real threat here, or choosing peace, or choosing to be easier on yourself, less hard on yourself, or saying an affirmation kind of thing. Just like I usually say to myself, I choose to relax my body and be at total peace now. And I just feel myself relaxing and softening as I say that. And you don't have to do the conscious choice part if it's getting you in your head. That's the least important part of the equation, because once you dissolve the heavy energies, you're going to feel more peace, love, and joy anyways. But it's just if you want to expand that lightness, you can bring in a conscious choice. And I do have like a meditation that does all this. If you like go to the Instagram link in my bio, or if you go to my website, like if you want a guided version of it, I do have that. But yeah, keep it simple. More awareness to what you're feeling instead of less. And that's how you're getting out of resistance.
Yeah. And just one thing, getting in the body, what is that? Just like the breath work, or just like feel the body, like mentally try to feel it? Or how, if someone is not used to that?
Yeah, if someone's not used to it, so think about that thing that's triggering you. And then you're going to feel discomfort somewhere. If you're that triggered, there is somewhere in your body that you are uncomfortable and you're feeling it. So bring awareness to where you're feeling it in your body. And if you still don't feel it, you're probably numbing out and distracting in some way, maybe staying in your mind. So I would try to make it louder, right? So sometimes I need to call out what I'm feeling. Like, I feel so hurt right now. I feel so unwanted. I feel like discarded, and I just like call out what I'm feeling so that the emotion intensifies a little bit. And then I notice where I feel it in my body. So you need to notice where you feel it in your body.
Wow. But this is a really good tip. I love it. And as I said, I would love to continue for hours. There's so much. Well,
We can do another one.
I think I tried now to wrap it up somehow, so it kind of feels like a package. But you have so much more to share, and probably it's also my own path that allows me to actually see in between the lines more than I was able like 2-3 years ago when I had interviews, or 5 years. So where do you want people to reach out best to you? I heard something about your Instagram because your webpage is not yet done, or did that change by now?
My webpage is going to be done in like a week though. Like it's still up, but it's getting updated right now. So in a week, so you can just go to my website. It's alishakapani.com. But for now, go on Instagram, Alisha_Kapani. Go to the link in my bio. You can get that ABC tool, like the free download of that. So you can start welcoming your emotions if you have no familiarity with welcoming your emotions. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I will put all the links you want me to link. We will not be ready in 1 week. I have another 5 episodes to work on.
Okay, perfect.
But probably I also have to learn for myself, because then I know, like, I want to edit the episodes as I had them recorded. And sometimes I have a lot of resistance doing that. And it takes me, it took me up to 6 weeks for one episode, where I thought always of another episode recorded afterwards. And I had like one episode done in 1 week because I had the second episode with the person. He was like, oh no, we have to talk more. So I needed to edit it in time before I had the second interview. So I was sure I'm not asking the same questions again. So I was finished the day I had the second interview. So I was fresh in my mind with what did we talk about? What are the open questions? But it's also like, this is my engineering. Like, I had the interview here, so one after the other, right? But sometimes there's a resistance in my body where I feel like, no, don't do it. Like, listen to how you feel about a certain task you're doing. If you feel this resistance, probably it's not the time to do that task.
Exactly. Sometimes it's not the time, or sometimes it doesn't need to be done at all, or there's a completely different way to do it, or the way you think about the task is what's making it feel heavy. Like it has to be done, or it has to be done in this time, or I'm the only one that can do it, or like then it creates so much heaviness. And so I notice when I give myself freedom, like if you don't want to do this today, if you don't want to do this ever, I love you anyways. And then I end up having the energy to do it always, either that day or the next day. So I just have to give myself freedom. And then there's the occasional thing that is just a complete no. That even if I gave myself a week, months, whatever, it's still a no. And it's my body telling me, like, you do not need to put your energy into this.
Exactly. I had that. I mean, I'm still learning. I have the feeling I'm at the 5 to 10% of that. But sometimes you really want to do something, but something in you doesn't want to do it. And down the road, a solution comes which makes it easier. Or as you said, someone comes and, hey, did you see about that tool? That's like a 3-month trial. And you're like, oh, that just made it so much easier. Or the person calls and says, hey, that interview we had, we should not upload it because something happened. I had a whatever. And then you just didn't want to work on the other episodes. And now you have this episode you worked for 2-3 weeks on. It was really tough. You really had to push yourself. And now this guest comes and like, we have to put it in the garbage because whatever. It didn't happen.
Yeah. Happened to me so many times where it's just the wrong timing. It feels heavy now, but it didn't feel heavy like maybe a couple of years from now. There's things like that, or like a month from now, or like because something has changed in that amount of time.
Or as I said, like for my yoga teacher, I'm building some candles now for his yoga meditation end of October. It's still 4 weeks ahead, but it feels like I want to do it. I just feel like I want to do it.
Yeah.
Super. Okay. I want to respect your time because we have 10 past whatever.
Yeah.
You're in Calgary. That means it's 10 past 11 or something like that. Am I right?
12. Yeah.
12. Oh, you're 8 hours.
12, 11.
Yeah, it's like 8 or 9 hours. It depends on where we are, summer, winter time. Super. Awesome. Let's talk about the next one. And guests, please, I don't get so many comments on the episodes, so I'm not really sure what you like about the episodes. Once in a while I get it, so it's really nice to know what you liked, and if you have any extra questions for me or my guest. And now, depending on how fast I am with booking the second one, we have this one already up, so I can ask Alisha other questions. And with that, thank you for listening that far. And thank you for being here, Alisha.
Thank you for having me.